Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. I don't know why I say ladies. Gentlemen, to another edition of Legtv. It is an all-important week, an all-important episode going down the matchups, seeing who is making that final push for the playoffs. That's right, this is the last week until the playoffs start. Next week in week 15. A lot of things shook out last week. Let's go to the scoreboard. And let's go ahead and start with that big old beatdown, a 76-point blowout. Red Hot Chili Peppers stays in first place, clinches first place, clinches a first-round bye with the points, beating Jabil's Modelo Virus 229 to 152. My goodness, what an output from Devin Achan. Tyreek Hill, as always, producing. Not a single person scored less than 20 points in that starting offensive lineup for the Red Hot Chili Peppers. We also got a win nickel to nickel on a last-second field goal in the Bengals Monday night game. Overcomes and beats Plow 137-135, thus bringing him to 8th place with a 7-6 record and a chance to clinch the playoffs, knocking Plow all the way down to 7th place. And we got to talk about the hottest team in the league continually. 7 wins in a row for Joe's insane ground posse, beating John Dahlgren 188 to 173, despite Dahlgren's team overachieving by about 40 points. But still gets the loss there. Joe is on fire. Tua and Kamara were unbelievable last week for him, and they continue to do so. Pretty Little Liars gets beat down. Again, Abby needed a win. He was on fire. Gets beat by the Dak Street Boys, who is not in the playoffs, but scored 220 points against Pretty Little Liars there. So Abby gets the loss. Debo and Nico Collins, the big contributors there as well, from Sam Laporta for Austin. Cook Goose for everyone. Mick gets a very important win to stay in 2nd place. He has a chance to clinch the first round bye if he wins this week. We'll get to that. Beating Nick Shook barely by 6 points, 149 to 143. Sweating it out there, Mickey boy. And Dr. Anurag Reddy loses yet again to Adam Barris's working from Mahomes, 133 to 106. A nice game from Puka there for Adam Barris. So it looks like things are shaking up well there for Barris, even though he is eliminated from playoff contention. Speaking of playoff contention, let's look who is in right now for the playoffs, who is on the outs, and who's got a shot to make the playoffs here for the 2023 season. And there we see at the top of the leaderboard the two teams that have already clinched a playoff berth. Red Hot Chili Peppers at 10-3, Mix Cooked Goose at 9-4. Now Joe is at 8-5, hasn't technically clinched yet, but he has a chance to take the number 2 spot this week and can clinch a bye based on record and points. So if Mick loses and Joe wins, he will definitely grab that 2nd spot and get the all-important first round bye. 7 wins in a row, my goodness. Now look at all these 7-6 teams. Clock Gobblers, Pretty Little Liars, Modelo Virus, Rocky Bitches, Nickel to Nickel, all at 7-6. And as you can see there, only 6 teams make it right now. Rocky Bitches and Nickel to Nickel on the outside looking in. That's why this week is super important to get that victory to cement a postseason appearance. So, to run down this week's pivotal matchups, I said it right. We have a very special guest for this week's Owner Spotlight. Welcome to this week's Owner Spotlight, and with me is a very special guest, a friend of the show, a regular and a veteran in the LEG, not in any war, right, Plow? I don't think so. Unless the Anderson meth shortage counts as a war, which
I was a part of the great meth versus dog battle for the control of the city once.
Yes. Welcome, Mr. Plow. How are you doing this fantasy football season?
I was doing pretty well till about 3 weeks ago. I just want to say, Joe Murdoch, you're a great champion and a great man. I do not begrudge you what happened last season. However, Danny fucking Nickel, that game had to go into overtime and run to the final 2 minutes for you to beat me and knock me into seventh fucking place. You did not earn that, sir. I'm still waiting for a fucking stat correction.
He literally won that on that field goal at the end.
Yeah. It's a load of shit.
Yes. Wow. I was going to ask you about all this stuff, but honestly, Mr. Plow, the first thing I want to ask you about, and you mentioned it, we came off of a season where, as you were talking about, Joe Murdoch won his first ever LEG championship.
Gentleman and a scholar.
Under extremely rare circumstances. Now that the dust is settled, can you kind of let us in on how did it feel to lose a championship that was literally teed up for you, and all you had to do was just fumble forward a yard, and you ended up losing because DeMar Hamlin died and came back to life on the field?
It took a literal act of God to rip that championship from my hands. And I mean that in that the man died and was brought back, much like Jesus, on the field. So it was maddening. I knew things were going to go weird. I think, I can't remember the running back's name. He had a guy on his team. Man, I'm blanking on Naheem Hines, I think it was.
Oh yeah, for the Bills.
Went off that week. And I had a sinking feeling the minute that happened. I was like, I've got a good lead here, but this feels like something's happening. Something's moving in the wrong direction. And it was. So I knew then that I was in trouble. And then as I tucked my children into bed, feeling a championship, in my wallet, knowing the money was there, already counting it, coming downstairs as I check my phone and I start to see Twitter blowing up about something happening in the game. I'm like, okay, let's see what's going on here. I turn on the game and someone's dead on the fucking field. So thankfully it was against Joe, who, again, gentleman, I begrudge him nothing. Good man. You should all aspire to be more like him. But man, it did suck. It hurts. It hurts to this day.
I wouldn't doubt it. I mean, being in this league for as many seasons as you have, and kind of been, in the middle of the pack, and then finally it's your year. You shoot all the way to the championship, have a great season, and for it just to be torn away from you like that, I took great pleasure in that, by the way, just so you know.
I knew the minute that there was any sort of controversy, I was not winning because you are the worst.
Oh, man. I was harping on you so bad. I was like, nope, it's over. Nope, you're done.
Yeah, it was fun times.
I know. Hey, you know what? You handled it gracefully. Had I been in that scenario, I would have gone absolutely bananas, to say the least.
Okay.
But anyways, now we're here. It's a new season, and had another good season for you, Mr. Plow. However, just like you said, it's kind of come off the wheels a little bit. What do you attribute the recent decline in your formerly very good football team?
Well, this week it was bye weeks, which was hell for everybody except Danny Nickel. They had 8 teams on bye, some ridiculous number like that. So if you look at my bench was completely bye weeked. So every player on my bench was on bye. So there was a little bit of that. There's also a little bit of like Lamar Jackson being a great real life quarterback and a terrible fantasy quarterback. He's doing everything he can to win for Baltimore and nothing to win for me in any league that I grabbed him in. So there's a little bit of that. And then there's a little bit of like, it just can't be easy for the plowman. This is karma. This is what I get for being friends with scumbags. So yeah.
Yes. Oh, I love it. Well, Mr. Plow, you're still in playoff contention in 7th place. This is a must-win week for you, and we're going to go to the rundown because there's a bunch of must-win games. We have 5 teams fighting for 4 spots, or 6 teams fighting for 4 spots right now. The standings as it is, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 teams at 7 and 6. And there's only 6 playoff spots with myself and Mick already locked in. Joe is in 3rd. He's pretty much dialed in unless some kind of miracle happens. I doubt he gets bumped that far down. but sitting in 7th place. You ready to do this very important rundown? This is the last week of the regular season, and then it's the playoffs.
Holy shit. This is the most important one of the year, and that's why you called me up. Let's do this.
Exactly. All right, you ready for this one? This is this would any other week, this would have been game of the week, but it really doesn't mean anything because the two teams kind of have it locked up. It's number 1 versus number 2. My team, Red Hot Jubilee Peppers, taking on Mick Barton, who has overcome injuries all year and has shot all the way up to 2nd place. He is locked in the playoffs. Now, however, he could lose the 2nd seed, thus negating the bye week for him. And as he told me, due to his injured team, he really needs this bye week. So, is this a must-win for Mick going into the playoffs?
I don't know if it's a must-win for Mick or not, but it doesn't matter because he's going to fucking lose.
Ooh, okay. Why is he going to lose other than the fact that I'm projected to win by 20?
Well, you've got the projection, but he also has Russell Wilson, who is, it seems like he's been having this little resurgence these last couple weeks. I've begrudgingly watched a good amount of Broncos football over the last year and a half, and I can tell you, Russ ain't good. It's a bad situation. They've got a decent coach who's also kind of an a-hole. I don't see Russ having a good week, and I think that's going to help contribute to him losing. Also, Buffalo, he's got Diggs there. Look, I know Kansas City's garbage. And I know Buffalo is like kind of garbage. I have a feeling this might be one of those like wheels come completely off the truck for Buffalo weeks.
Whoa. Okay.
So, and that's just a gut feeling, and my gut has been wrong all damn season. So, who knows? The last piece is, let's see, who's he got on defense that I didn't like? He's starting an Indianapolis defender, and I know you're starting 2 of them. I don't think this is going to be a big week for those guys. So I think you guys might be looking at a couple zeros there. I just think you have more on offense to take it.
Yes, I've been very, very blessed with the re-emerging of Kyron Williams and Devin Achane. Very, very helpful there. Really, at this point, my only weakness is QB and defense. Everywhere else, it's going to be hard to beat that team. I am going to agree with you. I think I'm going to win this week, and unfortunately, I think Mick's going to lose his 2nd round seed and possibly give it to Joe Murdoch. Joe Murdoch, who has won 7 games in a row. He was 1-5 and has not lost since. And he's taking on Jable this week. 3rd place versus 6th place. A must win for Jable. Jable cannot lose this game. He needs to win to stay in the playoffs. He's got that 6th seed on lockdown. Mr. Plow, who do you see coming out on top other than all the flowers that you gave Mr. Murdoch earlier? Is there any other way this outcome sees Jable locking down that spot?
I don't think so, man. I'm sticking with Joe. I'm going to continue to his here on Legtv. The man's got Tua against Tennessee. I think that could be huge. That's one of the reasons I picked you also, because you have Hill, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, okay. So I think that game's going to be a bit of a blowout. I can see Brown having a really big game against Dallas.
Yes.
I don't like Philly in that game, so I think they'll be throwing a lot. I know. It's, again, my gut's been wrong a lot this year. And also something I kind of secretly like, and I'm going to look right now and see if this is right. Going into the season, I had a sneaking suspicion that after watching years and years of Derek Carr football, that this would be the best year for Alvin Kamara, because he is the ultimate dump off and running guy. So any week that you've got Kamara playing, especially against Carolina, you got a shot at a 30 to 50 point week. Yeah. So I'm going with the insane ground posse. Like I said, I don't like Philly this week, really. So Hurts might not be great, which would hurt Brown, but let's face it, Brown's going to get more points every time Hurts throws to him. So it is what it is. And then Chase, I've got too many Bengals on too many other leagues, so that's going to go south.
Yeah, and who would have thought that Jake Browning, the QB for the Bengals, actually looked pretty decent.
What I've heard.
So, I will say this, 2 things. I think it's going to be a lot closer than you think. And the reason Joe is here, not a lot of people are talking about this, Rachaad White is quietly having one of the best fantasy football seasons this year. I think he's a top 5.
Yeah, quietly.
Top 5 running back. And he's been solid every single week. He's delivered every single week. And he's got Saquon Barkley too, besides Alvin Kamara. I think those 3, he's by far got the best 3 running backs in the entire league, and that's what's carried him here. Tua and A.J. Brown pop up every once in a while with ridiculous games. Jabel's team is boom or bust, right? There's with Jamar Chase, with Jalen Hurts, with Brandon Ayuk, depending on how Debo's doing in the night. Brandon Ayuk is still the number 1 receiver in San Francisco. Just last week, Debo went crazy. Jabel has the potential to upset Joe here. I just don't think...
But is he going to do it, JD?
I don't think he's going to do it, and here's why. It's going to be surprising. I think the Philadelphia Eagles are going to go ham on the Dallas Cowboys. They were embarrassed. They were totally shut down, and I think they've got something to prove that they are the best team in the NFC, even though I think the Niners are. I think in Dallas, Dallas only beats bad teams. So, hey, Austin, hi. The Cowboys are not that great. They're extremely overrated like they are every year.
Look, I tend to agree. I don't think they're that great, but I also think Philly might be in a shit spiral.
Yeah. They might be. I think this was the kick in the pants they needed. But really, Jabel, unfortunately, his running back situation is extremely up in the air. Is Baltimore going to finally commit to Mitchell? And Najee Harris might not even play on a short week. So, based on that, I think Jabel's big 3, his 3-headed monster, Hurts, Ayuk, and Chase, are all going to have monster games, and it's going to make it really close. Calvin Ridley might not even play for Joe, but it's not going to matter. I'm taking Joe this week as well, and that would mean that he would get the number 2 seed and a bye and win 8 games in a row. That's incredible. Okay, Plow, this is my game of the week. Both must win. Now, it's between Dan.
Wait, are we talking back-to-back? Is that what we're talking? We're talking back-to-back?
We're talking back-to-back, baby. Dan Nickel, 7-6 in 8th place, versus John Dahlgren, 7-6 in 4th place. This is why points matter. Dahlgren is sitting in 4th place, and he is the 2nd highest scoring team behind myself. And he's still in a must-win. Both these teams must win, but more so Dan, being in 8th place, has to beat Dahlgren. Can he overcome and beat Dahlgren this week? With an asterisk, he has no quarterback right now. So Dan's going to have to go stream a quarterback, probably either Derek Carr or probably Desmond Ridder or, not a lot of options for Dan, which really puts him in a bad position. Do you think Nickel, who makes his triumphant return this season, does he get into the playoffs and beat Dahlgren?
No.
Okay. Moving on. No.
Nickel got lucky last week. Never trust a team that just had their luckiest game. That was last week.
Yeah.
Nickel.
He definitely got lucky there. And, Dahlgren gets Justin Jefferson back, apparently. Now, granted, Kirk Cousins isn't throwing to him. It might not even be Josh Dobbs, Who knows who's going to throw to him? That matters a lot. But I think Justin Jefferson, they're going to kind of ease him in. They're not going to try to, what's Minnesota got to play for? Nothing.
You know what? You're looking too deep into this. Nickel.
All right. There's some
little raw here.
There. I love it. All right. Well, Mr. Plow, let's go to your matchup.
Oh.
That went from a while ago looking like an easy game going into the playoffs to now a must win for your team. Okay. Pretty much you can't have 7 losses and get in the playoffs. Maybe Dahlgren could, but everybody else needs to win this week. And you're taking on Austin Stoll, who's on a bit of a hot streak lately, especially in the points department.
Yeah.
Are you going to be able to hold off Stoll, who has no shot at the playoffs? Is he going to spoil your chance of getting in the postseason? Projection is less than 10 for you. You're only projected to win by 8 points. And,
so, I don't know. I'm going to pick myself. I think I'm going to win. I don't know if you can hear me or not.
I can hear you. You're just very frozen.
Okay. I still can't. Okay, now you're moving on me. All right. So, man, 10 points projection. I don't give a f about projections. This guy, Austin, I'm going to kick his ass. I think Hawk's going to go off against Vegas. Lots of catches. I don't know if you can hear any of this. All right.
I can hear.
So I think Vegas is going to have a problem with Hawk and possibly with Madison, which sucks as a Raiders fan. But I think they can give us some troubles. I do not feel confident about the fact that I have 2 starting Broncos, so that could be a problem for me, as could Amon-Ra St. Brown versus the Bears. Goff did not play well against the Bears last time.
No.
So it is with pure big dick energy that I say I'm going to Austin.
Okay. I love it. I'm going to disagree with you, Mr. Blau. I think Austin is going to win this week, and he has been riding the hot hand of CJ Stroud, rookie Wunderkind, and stacking it with Nico Collins. Essentially, this is the poor man's Dak and CD Lamb stack that Abalash has been rocking. That's been unreal this season. Deebo Samuel, he's now more involved in the offense for the 49ers. I don't like his running back, so I don't like Eckler and Pacheco. Pacheco's hit or miss, and Eckler just doesn't seem the same after the injury. But Sam Laporta, you mentioned Goff had a bad game against the Bears. I really think that Detroit bounces back. This is a must-win for Detroit. They cannot lose from here on out because they're going to play some good teams, and they got to prove they're a playoff team. Sam Laporta has been a huge surprise and an unbelievable rookie tight end. And Devontae Adams is your flex? That's not a bad spot to be in, especially when you got Garrett Wilson in the flex and Zach Wilson's coming back to play QB.
Yeah. That's right. Zach Wilson coming back to kill some fools, man. He's out here throwing darts. He got that Aaron Rodgers rehab going on. He's going to be high as a kite. He's going to nail Wilson for about 4 touchdowns.
Well, we shall see. I heard it all. I unfortunately for you, Mr. Plow, I think Stoll's going to win this one and possibly bounce you from playoff contention. What do you think about that? Hey, here's a fun one. Stud World Game of the Week. Number 12 versus number 11. Dr. Anurag Reddy versus Nick Shook, who was all but just begging to have that Hoffa back in his mantle. Probably not any real need to go too in depth. This is, like watching 2 mules fight over a turnip in an alley. Who do you think wins this one?
Oh, man. Well, I wrote down that I thought Abby was going to win it, but I cannot tell you why I thought
We're not even talking about Abby. This is Nick and Dr. Anu, his brother.
Oh, sorry. No. Oh, sorry. Looked at the wrong one. See, my internet connection drops off, so I picked the wrong Reddy. No, I took Anu. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah, Shook, hopefully he sets his lineup. He almost beat Mick last week on a very smart last second. He picked up Jake Browning for the Bengals. Almost lost by like 6 points on Monday night. I'm taking Dr. Anu. I think he gets the win. It's not looking good for the Shookster. Okay, our last game. Yeah. Our last game here. Abalash. Another very scary team who has come on as of late. He did lose recently. He's taking on 10th place Adam Barris, working for Mahomes, who by all means should have had a way better season, and just these players did not perform like they should have. Poor Adam. Do you think, is there any chance that Adam can try to take out Abby and muddy up his playoff chances? Because Abby's in 5th place, so he's in the top 6.
So if I'm wrong about Philly and you're right, then yeah, Bear has a shot. It's great having him back in the league. It's nice to see the little guy again. Yes. I'm glad he's back around. But I have taken Abby in this. Mostert has a shot at putting up some good points. They're probably going to split between him and A-Chain. I see them both going off. If I had both of them in a league, I would play both of them this week. So yes. I can see that working out in his favor. I don't know about Metcalf, but again, if I'm wrong about if you're wrong about the Eagles, I mean, if the Eagles suck and the Cowboys end up running this thing up, Lamb could blow up, and that Prescott Lamb thing could be legit.
Yeah, I mean, the Niners hung so many. I mean, Purdy threw 4 touchdown passes on the Eagles. So what's to say Dak can't at least throw 3, and CeeDee Lamb is going to get at least one of those. And that's really been Abby's bread and butter all year. Dak Prescott having a sneaky, very good season. So is CeeDee Lamb, a top wide receiver. And it is nice to have Mostert there. And again, they're playing Tennessee. Probably not going to have to throw too much on the Titans. So they might go to the ground game a lot. And having Michael Pittman, the possession receiver machine out of Indy, in your flex, that's enough for me to do it. I think Abby wins this week as well. Okay. Well, there's the rundown. Mr. Plow, do you have any big, bold predictions for this year's playoffs?
Joe Murdoch and I in a rematch. This time, I'm taking the championship.
Oh, wow. Wouldn't that be something? Oh, hey. Now I really hope you lose this week so you don't get in the playoffs.
You piece of shit.
Awesome. Well, thank you for coming on, Mr. Plow. Always a pleasure to have you. Good luck to you, sir, and good luck to everyone out there in TV land. Oh, hey, it's Hunter. He's going crazy. He's going crazy. Thank you, Plow, for coming on this week. I appreciate it.
Hey, is that our new host?